Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical in Politics
Geopolitics
in
and conflict.
Conflict. What am I talking about? I get confused with so many channels to deal with. But anyway, very, very excited to be with you guys. And we got a very, how should I put it? Complicated, interesting, dynamic topics, but it's also a reflection of truly what geopolitics is all about.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about here? We're talking about China sending 6 warships to the Middle East. Whoever thought? But at the same time, you won't be surprised once Elizabeth's going to share with you a quote from one of my books that I talked about this back in 2017, 2018. And here it is. So this is what we're going to be addressing today. We're going to, like we always do, we provide the analysis. We don't side here and there. We let
Right.
you reach your own conclusion. But our objective is to provide you accurate information. Speaking of accurate information, I think I'm going to start to disclose exactly what my credentials are.
I
Usually
think that's very
I
important.
keep a low profile. I don't
Yes.
like to brag. And I know some of our viewers say, "You are not bragging, Dr. O." But I need to highlight this. I come to the table with over 30 years of experience here. So my military background, my academic background, with a focus on international security. That is what my PhD is involved in, or was
Right.
involved in. So it kind of, I know what I'm talking about, in a sense, in addition to being authored many books, many articles. And this is what we bring you here in this channel here. So we're not here to just wait, because I certainly don't want to waste your time, but I don't want to waste our time as well. So we have other things to do, but to us, this is a commitment. So speaking of that, if this is your first time here, please make sure to subscribe. And by the way, guys, I've been talking to Elizabeth about the membership in this channel, and it's
Yep.
not. Are we 100 members?
We're not at 100 members yet.
How come?
I don't know, guys.
Well, they helped me out with the other channel. We reached 100 over. So please consider becoming a channel, either supporter or members, whatever you feel comfortable with. And as promised to you guys, once we reach 100 in this channel here, we're gonna do an exclusive Q&A in addition to sharing a surprise. Not even Elizabeth knows about the surprise.
Guys, I
Nobody
really
knows
want.
in
I
the
want
team.
to know about the surprise.
Yeah.
So let's get to 100
I kid you not.
members.
So you guys make sure, please, that's your way of showing off support and so forth, and we truly appreciate it. So, all right, let's dive. Any other announcements we need to do about tomorrow? We have
a Rumble show, guys. We cannot always say what we feel and want to say on YouTube for reasons that you know about.
Yeah.
So we are going to we have a Rumble show that we do every Wednesday where we can speak a lot more freely. So this is our, if you're interested in it, what's on the screen right now is the link to our Rumble channel.
Perfect. Yeah. And also, if you want to support us also on the locals, please do so, because you all know it's just us here. We don't depend on anyone from outside. So except you for your support. So we'll greatly appreciate it. All right. How about the course?
The course. So
the government course.
So David is almost finished teaching the government course. It is how the U.S. government actually works or doesn't work.
I will go with the latter. It doesn't work.
And I think if you're with us here on this channel, you really understand that that's the truth. The U.S. government, and even as we're talking about this, we're talking about the Israel-Hamas conflict in the context of the other countries that are getting involved.
Yeah.
Because I think for a long time, the United States thought that it was just going to be the US, right? Just the US. And they were going to have the US was just going to have its support and sort of have its way.
Yeah.
But the fact that China is, oh no, you guys lost me. David, I think they can only see you right now.
Yeah, let's fix that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll take it from here as far as letting them know. So the idea of understanding literally that when I look at the statement by President Biden, we are the United States for crying out loud. Heck, what did he mean by that? That era is gone. Now the world, you mentioned US, and some shrug their shoulders, and rightly so. It's my country, and pains me to say this, but it's the truth. I'll criticize the government when criticism is due, and it is due. It has been for quite a while now. We can't be conducting this kind of a foreign policy now. I mean, heck, when the United States objecting to Russia's proposal at the UN Security Council to allow civilian assistance into Gaza and all that, and the US saying no.
Yeah.
What does it say about us? Shame. And now we're seeing a different dynamics with Russia sending 6 warships, and this is what we're gonna get into, providing you the really what this is all about. This is not about war, FYI. China is not doing it for the reason of war. China is sending a message to begin with.
Right.
And second thing, yes, it's sending warships, but if you only remember, and there is a video on a record we did about China conducting maneuvers with some Middle Eastern countries. I remember because I did the video and talked about that one. So China is already been thinking in terms of the changes coming up to the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And those started 2 decades ago. As a matter of fact, China, not opposed, but did express its concern about the US invading Iraq.
Yeah.
They weren't in favor of.
Yeah.
But they said, hey, you want to go, you go. And even with that, it turns out to be a nightmare and turned the Middle East upside down.
Absolutely.
Now this is the result of it. So.
Well, and even look at the situation after the United States left Afghanistan, for example. So China went in and started putting investment into infrastructure in that region.
Yeah.
Right? Started building schools, started building infrastructure in that area. And so, these warships, they're being played off as, oh, well, this is routine. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And although it is true that warships have been in that region, it's interesting that they are specifically doing this joint exercise right now in particular. Right. And so when we had US warships sort of going through the South China Sea and all of that area, it was routine naval exercises also.
And it was also the what is it? Law of the sea, freedom of navigation.
Right?
This is very different. Here is what's interesting. Some major Western media saying that now by China sending warships, it's kind of will spark World War III. Amazing how it's pushing. It's the same narrative they've been saying about the BRI, how it is a death trap. Even our ambassador in China, Beijing, his name, William Burns. No, William Burns is the CIA.
Yeah, CIA director.
Nicholas Burns, saying, no, it's that trap, whatever. As a matter of fact, now, Nicholas Burns finding himself isolated inside China.
Yeah.
Even though ambassador, because it just, the narrative doesn't hold anymore.
Right.
We've heard the stories about the atrocities. There were atrocities in Xinjiang. When it turns out to be a lie.
Yeah.
There were no atrocities. And China dealt with whatever issues they had differently than what we are witnessing right now in the Middle East. So this is why it's important to place these 6 naval ships within the context of the regional security architecture, but also the economic, mainly energy.
Absolutely. And, because you're looking at that area, and what is that area rich in?
Oil. Energy.
It's rich in oil, it's rich in energy. And right now, one of the things that's facing the Western world is especially Europe.
Yeah.
One of the things that is especially facing Europe is the fact that they are being cut off more or less from their cheap energy sources, from their cheap sources of oil.
Yeah.
And I mean, look at Nord Stream, right? The whole Nord Stream pipeline situation. There was actually a really entertaining video that I watched that maybe we'll share it on Rumble tomorrow. But there's a very entertaining video that I watched that said, it was a bunch of interviews of Biden basically being like, we're going to get Nord Stream 2. We're going to, whatever. And then all the news stories saying, oh, Russia did it. And you're like, Biden literally said, we're going to shut it off at all costs. And then here you have news saying, oh, well, Russia did it.
He's incompetent. He was never, in my opinion, qualified for the position. So let me share one thing with you. I need to share this with you guys. I'm not going to get into the hardware of what the 6 ships all about. But you need to understand what's involved in them. So the convoy of those naval ships includes the Zaibo and the Oramki. Both of them are type 05 to the guided missile destroyers. You read between the lines here.
Right.
Then you have the frigate Jingzhou. Then the integrated supply ship called Guangdao. Then a frigate Lin Yi and a supply ship Dongpinghu. I hope I pronounced it correctly. My point in highlighting this is not just an average naval ship.
Yeah.
Those are for specific reason. And the reason for it, you're going to have to think about it from two aspects. One of them is economic. The other one is geopolitical. The economic aspect of it has to do with China wanted to ensure access to its energy sources.
Absolutely.
Mainly what? You're looking at Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Iran, back in 2017, when I did the research back then, at that time, China was getting about 4 million barrels from Iran. That shows you the appetite for China's energy demand for its economy to grow. Then now what you look at is now with the new reality, the geopolitical reality in the landscape, mainly when it comes down to Saudi Arabia and Iran.
Yep.
The rivalry is gone.
Yeah.
But they are both the key pillars in the Middle East.
Yep.
So to me personally, as a geopolitical analyst, and I argued this from way back, I used to say it's just a matter of time before both Russia and China will enter into some sort of a strategic alliance with Iran. Remember, I didn't say military, I said strategic. Alliance with. And now, to me, when Russia is sending this openly, it also highlights. What it highlights also? It highlights now that the global order has changed.
Absolutely.
Now, China is coming forward. It's not about flexing muscles. It's not about that. It's about sending a subtle message that U.S. era of dominance in the Middle East no longer.
Yeah.
That is the message that is sending.
Well, and quite frankly, I think the Middle East is very ready for that dominance to be over, considering what that turned the Middle East into.
Yeah, this is what I argued back then when I wrote my last book. Yeah, and I started the research back in 2017 about that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let me read a quote from this book. Yeah, it's true, guys. David doesn't talk about the fact that he has written 4 books and co-written how many others?
5. 2 others, and I wrote 4. I wrote 146 articles.
So David knows a little bit about this. All right. So this is from this book. If the United States ends up warring with Iran, I'm convinced that Russia and China will support Iran behind the scenes. The U.S. is on a dangerous path, to say the least, as a war with Iran will take on wider dimensions, involving countries that seek to defend their strategic and economic interests. The other alternative announced by Trump is regime change in Iran. It demonstrates not only the president's ignorance about historical events, particularly the 1953 CIA and MI6 orchestrated coup in support of the Shah, but also the effect regime change will have on the region's political landscape. A policy of regime change in Iran advocated by the hawkish U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton will fail now because the regional dynamics have changed from those of the 1950s, when Mohammad Mossadegh was overthrown in favor of the Shah.
Yeah, and that changed the dynamics in not only in Iran, but the whole Middle East. Absolutely. Basically, we never respected the will of the people back then when they voted for Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh. Yeah. He was elected, he was democratically through votes was elected. So why are we going and changing the outcome? We had no place into that. But at that time, back then, it was about ensuring oil. And the reason, do you guys know what the reason why he was overthrown? Can anybody type in the chat box why Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh was overthrown? So I'll check out the answer before I share it with you. I like to always engage you. And this is why we do in this channel, because we want you part of the conversation as well, not just us talking here, but want you part of it. Why do you think Mohammad Mossadegh, the late, he passed away anyway, was overthrown by the US and Britain? So, and we'll check it out later on. So this is where I see those dynamics.
Right.
And now when you fast forward to today, China's looking at it differently. Like I said, I've been arguing for years and years. That was my way back then when I was still writing articles and was still in Washington, whatever. I will argue in a sense for Washington establishment to pay close attention. But at the same time, you have amateurs in a foreign policy establishment.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not going to see. And I saw this coming back then.
Yeah.
This, what you just quoted, I started the research on it back in 2017, 2016. Then you move forward
that's 6 years ago.
Yeah. And you start to think into what's coming. And that's how I saw that. So I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, now I am at that point where I can say comfortably that should, this is big, it might not happen, but should the conflict widen beyond, because if the US gets involved, if Iran gets involved, China's gonna get involved indirectly. Russia's gonna get involved
too. We'll
Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt. You got the idea.
Yeah.
So that's why any conflict in the Middle East, it will reflect or it will echo or reverberate around the world.
Absolutely.
To China, the two key: economic, access to energy. China cannot afford, and I'll say this, China cannot afford a disruption to its energy flow.
Right.
This is why they're going to enter into some deal now with Thailand. Did you know the Prime Minister of Thailand is advocating now for $27 billion project with China regarding a bridge? And you know why? So they can bypass Malacca Strait altogether. China seeing the concern with Malacca Strait, because if there is a conflict in that part of the world, which it will be, all we will do is choke China through Malacca Strait. So China is thinking ahead.
Yeah. So, which is very smart. It's very smart.
I see the same move in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And it is to the favor of Chinese now, not the US.
Yeah.
It's to the favor to the Chinese. Why? Because China was able to broker the deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, both of them.
Huge piece of this.
Yeah. Then there is a third element to all this. And the third element, and again, economics, because prosperity matters.
Yeah.
Did you know who's calling right now for free trade with GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council? Is ASEAN countries.
Yeah.
Actually, Malaysia is taking the lead on this. But if you think about ASEAN, you think about certain other members are the RCEP, the Regional Economic Comprehensive Partnership, which is China, New Zealand, and Australia are part of. But if ASEAN end up doing free trade, you know what it means, free trade. ASEAN are thinking ahead of time.
Yeah.
The GCC themselves are seeing where the trend is headed, moving east. This is why I believe China sending the 6 warships is to send a message loud and clear to the United States. That's one.
Yep.
And second, they want to also, through that message, they're saying, hey, we're here to protect our strategic interests.
Absolutely.
Straightforward.
Well, and they have been building those strategic interests over the last couple of decades.
Over a long time, yes.
Yeah. And it's started to really come to a head with the peace agreement or normalization peace agreement with the Saudis and Iran. And I want to talk a little bit about Russia's involvement in this situation also, because one of the things that's sort of been widely known that over time, I mean, this is widely known over time, right? The relationship between Russia and Iran.
Okay.
And specifically talking about the weapons
that Iran's been getting.
Yes.
Actually, it wasn't weapons. It was the technology. Yes, they did get some weapons. And it's not a secret.
No.
I'll tell you, the last one was the S-300 missile system.
Yeah.
That S-300 missile system is very advanced in comparison to S-400, which Russia didn't deliver to Iran yet, even though Iran requested. Remember, with this kind of sale of certain technologies, but the what should we call it? Partnership, rapprochement, militarily between Iran and Russia is nothing new.
It is not.
This is why I argued in the book. I won't be surprised that Iran might grant, listen to this carefully, might grant either China, either Russia or Russia, might grant them the ability to have a naval base on Iranian soil.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised at all. I don't know who will get it, Russia or China,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe both.
Or maybe
On
both,
the other
yeah.
hand, I see the counter arguments to that, that could Russia go to Iran and China go to Turkey?
Yeah. That's
That's
very
another
possible.
dimension to it.
Yeah.
All these are possibilities to highlight to you the shift in the geopolitical landscape. And this
Mm-hmm.
is one thing, at least through my academic years, when it comes down to international security, because that's what I did my master's on,
Mm-hmm.
specifically security
Yeah,
policy.
yeah.
Security policy. That's all we studied the entire 2 years. You know, your brain gets like,
Yeah.
but it's important. It's
It's very
because
important.
any minor shift in the global order will
Mhm.
impact the global security. Any minor or major impact to the flow of oil will end up having an impact on the security. And
Absolutely.
that's what prompted me to move forward with the PhD in international security and
Mhm.
geopolitics as a whole. So that's what I bring to the table, by the way.
Well,
So
and I really appreciate that you tell people that you're
I,
starting
I,
to
I
tell
will.
people that a
Yeah.
little bit more, because there are a lot of people out there who are geopolitical analysts who really don't have any kind of background in
Yeah.
any of it,
Yeah.
but you really do.
Yeah. And this one doesn't have to do with the PhD and all that. No,
Right.
no. It just has to do with the understanding and the credentials for something. That's all.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you don't overlook 30 years if I combine my entire experiences. And it's not like I've been just sitting in Washington.
Yeah.
I've been on the ground in some dark places around the world that even the media couldn't get in.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed. I used to laugh when I'll come back to the state
Mm-hmm.
and see the images on a screen for CNN, and I'd be laughing. Oh, that's not true.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
Of course, at that time, I was bound by the law.
Of course.
It's the
Of course.
sensitivity of stuff, and especially when you are granted some clearance far beyond top secret.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people do not know that there are 4 other classifications above top secret.
Yep. That's interesting. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Unfortunately, I can't get involved in that because the name of those is classified.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, that's another conversation for another day. So that's the whole idea. What I'm saying here is bringing to you the understanding of how to read the geopolitical map with the changes that's taking place right now in the Middle East.
Yeah.
China's doing this not as a warning to Israel, not as a warning to the US, no, not as a sign we want to dominate the Middle East.
Right.
That is not a. What China's doing is sending subtle message that we are here to defend our strategic interest, and we are here also to stand by our friends.
Yeah.
Because you remember last time when I mentioned, if you are to look right now for what the next alliance is going to be, 4 countries.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys tell me which 4 countries?
Oh, and let's see if the answer let's see the answer. See what answers we got. Oh man.
Oh, Tom, let me say thank you to Tom 10. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate it.
All right, I'm looking for the answers for the question that you guys asked. And guys, we're going to take questions later.
Yeah,
so if you put the word question in front of your question, it makes it a lot easier for me to see.
All right, let's see here. I think I see Mohammed Al-Hamrawi. This gentleman here is always on the channel. Thank you very much for being here, Mohammed. I read your comments and I truly appreciate your contribution to the conversation. Mm-hmm. Nationalizing energy, you're absolutely correct. I'll take it you are part of you are in that part of the world. So because that's what it was all about. Yeah. Mohammed Mossadegh wants to nationalize the oil industry. We said no. Why? Because we wanted access to free energy. It's same thing France was doing in Niger with uranium. They got in it at an 89 cents a pound of uranium.
Absolute
insanity. When the value in the market, it was about 230, some prices I saw.
Well, that's because if you're not paying people very well, right? If you're not paying people very well, if you're basically more or less taking a natural resource, you can upcharge it to that extent.
Well, getting it for free from
more or less,
which
is
not
free.
right.
Yeah,
it's not right. So when Mohammed Mossadegh said, no, we're going to nationalize, they planned the coup, and the coup was orchestrated by both. This is why the UK will always follow its masters.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the Brits had a hard time when we got the independence from them. Things have moved differently. So as a matter of fact, now I just listened to the speech by the prime minister, the incompetent Sunak. He's saying, "Oh, we're gonna defeat the Russians." He's still living in a parallel world.
Right.
That's one. And second, what he's not addressing is how bad things are in the UK.
Oh, absolutely.
Their economy
Absolutely.
is. I won't be surprised,
Mhm.
and mark my word on it. I could be wrong, of course, but I'll take my chances. And if I am wrong, I'll come and say, "Hey guys, I was wrong." I bet he will be voted out, like
The previous
four, whatever. Yeah,
before
that's
him.
what I see coming.
Yeah.
Because the average UK citizen is struggling with inflation, struggling with the cost of living.
Same as us.
The whole Europe, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, and this is why it was about nationalizing the energy. That's the reason why we did it.
Yeah.
Egypt, we're trying to do the same with the Suez Canal.
Mhm.
If you only know the issue of the canal, and this is why Egypt now, we're trying to do a summit about this.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, that was recently. That was that was over the weekend.
Yeah, but it didn't work.
It didn't work. It didn't work for a couple of key reasons. The first is that there were no high-level officials from the US. Number one.
What tells you right there?
Hugely tells you.
Yeah.
And no high-level from Israel either.
Yeah. Even though it was Egypt that warned Israel about that.
Yeah.
That shows you right there. To me, it becomes like, if I am to put myself in Israeli shoes, or even the American shoes, because remember, both the US and Israel, they always, as one who works in Washington, the coordination is 24/7.
Right.
That's non-negotiable. They probably argued, let it move forward and see where it will lead to.
So there was you catch Biden in these very odd moments, and I'll see if I can find it. But there was a moment that I'll see if I can find it. But he like mumbles, "Hey, we want a ceasefire." No, ceasefire. It was very interesting, though. I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'll show it to you guys. But it is.
Yeah, I read that one, that the White House retracted back.
Yeah, the White House retracts a lot back from Biden.
But it shows you where we stand. Right. And to me, as an American, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed because when we say we stand for the rule of law, well, where is the rule of law into this? Right. We stand for democracy. Well, where is democracy into this? When we couldn't even have it here in our home. You can't sidestep this kind of major issues here because the world is watching.
The world is watching.
You can't. Yes. We can't be saying whatever. That era is gone. Mm-hmm. And to me, this is this signal of when I'm going to show the image of this the Chinese ships here. To me, when the China send in the ships, that's a clear indication for me that they are now convinced. The Chinese are convinced about the new global order.
Yeah.
That it is upon us here right now.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
There is no if and buts. It's right here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just think about it. 15 years ago, will China do this?
Never.
No.
No. And in fact, this is the first time we're starting to hear things like this.
Yeah.
When and all, I in my entire life have never heard anything like, well, China has sent 6 of its warships also. Never have I heard that.
Now they are doing it because they are also, like I said earlier, thinking of their strategic interest.
Right.
Now, let me say something from a tactical perspective here. Mm-hmm. Israel and the US, both of them understand. They understand that a war with Iran
is
not a child play.
No, it's not. That's a bad idea.
Bad idea for what it's going to lead to.
Yeah.
Again, you won't be just fighting you, meaning Israel or the US. Mm-hmm. First of all, Israel cannot do it by itself. Right. Israel cannot do anything by itself. Let's just put this on the table. Despite all the weapons that we armed them with, Israel cannot do it. They can't move an inch without the US. That's given. Mm-hmm. And when I say the US, you're going to have to add the UK into that.
Yeah.
France and Germany, I don't know. But to me, they are weak countries, weak leaders, not the country, the population is very low. So here's the reason why Israel cannot. That's why we've been hearing, Israel is going to attack Iran. It's nothing but hypes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, absolutely.
The United States also understand, yes, we do have a military might, but Do we have the stomach for it after what we just did in Afghanistan and Iraq?
Well, I mean,
And let alone the cost of
doesn't
it.
mean they
Will
don't do
American
it.
people even allow that?
No. Well, and the thing about this conflict,
Yeah,
the Israel Hamas conflict,
yeah,
that I think is very different than any of the other conflicts that we've had, and that is that the entire world really is watching, and it is actually very clear if you're paying any kind of attention to what's to the situation. Not every country is taking the same side.
no,
And so, when we had Afghanistan, when we had Iraq, there was not the free flow of information that there is right now. And so right now we're watching the world. I mean, there are cameras that have been set up and take down,
yeah,
on the Gaza Strip.
yeah,
So looking at what that looks like,
yeah.
the world is watching this situation. And quite frankly, I think that that's the reason that it hasn't actually escalated further, is because the world really is
They're
watching
yeah.
this.
And second, Israel is they can go to Gaza. I'll tell you this right now. They
If
can,
they could, they would have.
they
I
would have
think.
done it. Yeah. It's not this hypes about the US telling them not to go. It's
Mhm.
nonsense. They know what they will be waiting for them over there, because
Yeah.
you're looking at a three. You're looking at Syria, Lebanon, and Iran. When I say Iran, not Iran militias, because Iran has a lot of militias in the Middle East.
Yeah.
This is an investment Iran put in since 1979.
Jeez, that's a
So
long time.
what do you expect? And they
Yeah.
are highly trained.
Yeah.
I kind of saw, and I was in that part of the world. I was near the borders of Iran,
Mhm.
from the Kurdistan side of Iraq. You kind of, this is it's no joke.
Yeah.
And those guys have no fear of that.
Yeah.
They kind of, yes, some of us
Yeah.
doing special ops and all that, but that's beside the point. Otherwise, we would have attacked Iran back then.
Yeah.
But we know what the consequences will be. And
Right.
this is why Iran went ahead and purchased the S-300 missile systems. Those are anti-air defense systems.
Mhm.
Very, very accurate. Very. The Patriot system, whatever, ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Where the Iron Dome ain't gonna cut it.
Well, the Iron Dome didn't even fully protect the Israelis.
It didn't.
So
It didn't. So if they attack Iran, what you're gonna be seeing is that Tel Aviv, the major cities, will be showered with missiles.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, at the time of this recording here, the groups in Lebanon, southern Lebanon, Hezbollah, they are showing what the capabilities they have. We're talking about some major missiles, some major rockets.
Yeah, they're
those,
not
those
nothing.
are not
Yeah.
they are not, they are serious.
And
So-
Israel seems to be very actually concerned.
Well, because as a matter of fact, here is the reality, by the way, which not been disclosed a lot.
Mhm.
Did you know there are demonstrations inside Tel Aviv?
Mm.
They want Netanyahu out,
Yeah.
dismissed.
Well,
Not
this
next
is
year,
a mess.
dismissed.
This is
Yeah.
an insane mess.
They
to
don't
have-
want.
to
Not
have
all
caused
Israelis, by
this.
the way.
Yeah.
Not all Israelis are. They are in support of
Yeah.
the Palestinians, believe it or not.
Yeah. I
Because
mean, I believe
because
it.
of what's just. This
Yeah.
is about what's right.
Yeah.
Human life doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what religion.
Yeah.
Who are we to be judging? Well, you shouldn't live, or who gives us that right or authority to
Absolutely.
decide on that?
Absolutely. And that's on both sides. I mean, that's been, I think, one of the biggest talking points globally
Yeah.
for this situation, is that it isn't primarily Hamas, and it isn't primarily
no.
the Israeli military that suffered. It's the civilian population
Population.
in both places.
Yeah. And what's sad of all this is that we are not standing by what's right.
Yeah.
This to me where the hypocrisy comes in.
Well, to
Shame.
me too. And it
Shame.
bothers me very much that the US is not calling for peace here.
Yeah, they
The
won't.
US isn't. China is calling for peace. Look at so let me see if I can find a list of all of the countries that came together in Egypt, in Cairo.
Oh yeah, the summit.
Right? The summit had China. The summit had Russia. I mean, it was an actually substantial summit of people who are calling for peace in this situation.
Yeah.
And the two people who didn't really show up to it, I mean, they showed up, right?
Oh, yeah,
but the US should be that in the world.
This is the same argument the former chancellor of Germany, Gerhard Schröder, just made. They made it yesterday. You know what he said? He said that the peace was proposed regarding the Russian-Ukraine.
Yeah.
In 2022, Ukraine wanted to reach settlement with Russia.
Yeah.
but we pressured Ukraine in not doing it. So
Yeah.
he stated on the record, it is out there, that it was the US that prevented Ukraine.
Mhm.
I said this back then also before it came up public.
Yeah.
I said that, no matter what, Ukraine won't be able to do anything without the US.
Yeah.
We kind of dictate the terms, but we're dictating the term for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And now you start to see something like this when you see, elderly women, children. I
Mhm.
understand if you target military targets,
Yeah.
but civilians,
But civilians, yeah.
hospitals, you kind of,
Mhm.
and for us, it really put down our moral standard. There's
Yeah.
none left, because now you look at even the proposition, the resolution at the United Security Council proposed by Russia regarding the aid to go in.
Oh,
We
yeah.
objected to it.
Yeah.
It was the US, UK, Japan.
Mhm.
I forgot what the last, there were 4 countries. I forgot the other country. Objected to it.
Yeah.
So I'm even shocked for Japan
Yeah.
to be even dragging its reputation into this, knowing what they suffered after World War II.
Yeah.
We dropped a bomb on them.
Well, and if it's a concern of, oh, maybe there's weapons going in with that aid, maybe there's something else going in with that aid, check the shipments.
Yeah.
Just check them.
And second thing, we've been providing weapons to both sides.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no different than what we did in the Iraq-Iran war.
Mhm.
I detailed that in my Iran book. I detailed the whole, with the references, with the resources, where the info. That was not even this. It was declassified later on. That's why I was able to put it in my book.
Yeah.
We were providing both sides. We provided Iraq with weapons. We provided Iran, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Some behind channels. That's when the former what's his name, Colonel Oliver North, took the fall for Reagan.
Yeah.
Because the money we were getting from Iran as payment for the weapon, we were sending it to Sandinistas in Latin America.
Yeah.
So to me, that's just, why are we fomenting all this tensions?
No, that's a great question.
And this is why I'm seeing China now saying, hey, we're going to send our warships, because if any warship of China is attacked, well, that will become a serious problem.
Oh, it would become a serious
because
problem.
the Chinese never forget what took place in Belgrade. You remember that attack by NATO that bombed the embassy. Oh, they said it was a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't buy that argument. NATO knew what it was doing, that residency was for the ambassador residency, or the ambassador, or the chief of mission, something like this one. But anyway, it was attacked.
We've got a couple of actually very interesting accidental attacks also, because a lot of some number, they're saying like a lot, but it's not a ton.
Go back through history. Gulf of Tonkin. What happened with that?
Yeah.
USS Liberty. What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Israel attacked USS Liberty to drag the US into.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, this is, to me, will be like thanking to us. And that's why Turkey went ahead and sent its own naval ships to Cyprus. And they said to the US, they warned them, we will be using live fire.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you are in the vicinity, it ain't our problem.
Yep.
So rightly so. And it just, beside all this, you think in terms of we humans, how ugly some of us can get to cause this kind of suffering on another human being. Right. It's really demonstrate the ugliness of humankind.
Right.
Not all, of course. I should not generalize.
Well, and here's what I have to say about that, because I absolutely agree, because people are doing this to each other, right?
Oh, yeah.
If the population wouldn't allow it, it wouldn't happen. But that there are a select few people who are in power that are causing these things to happen. And this conflict between Hamas and Israel is not new.
No.
And if you look back, because it's very important to actually look at the history of this, where did this actually come from? And if you look all the way back, you have the British to blame for this, at least originally happening. You have leadership over time to blame for there not being a resolution and for there not being peace. But initially, you do have the British to blame for basically cutting up sections of the Middle East that they didn't understand. They went into a place, and they went into an area and said, okay, well, I'm not going to take a look at what the origins were what
yeah, let's
of
just carve it out.
carve it out.
Yeah,
This
whatever.
looks like a fine
Yeah.
place to carve this out. And in doing that, more or less started
No,
this.
the conflict, yeah. I mean, Britain or UK's dark history into
Mhm.
exploitation, what they've done to other countries in Asia and in Africa. I mean,
Well, and the countries that have been colonized, they remember what that
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
right? Even if it was their parents or grandparents or great grandparents that lived
Yeah.
through that, they know what that was like. And so I think that it's true that humans are perpetrating on this on each other, but
Yeah.
that it is the top level of powerful people that are the ones that are keeping things going the way
and
that
even
they
the
are.
powerful people who gave them the right. You look at now,
It's a great
what's her
question.
name? The idiot, not idiot, but the incompetent or liar. I don't shy away from saying it.
Yeah.
Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Council. She's not elected. She's
Yeah.
appointed,
Yes.
and now dictating the
Mhm.
term for what's going on in Europe. Wait
And-
a minute, like, well,
Yeah.
why do people allowing that to begin with?
That's a great question. And so, when I've made this argument before, the comments in the chat were saying, well, people elected, and
No,
who
she
votes
wasn't.
these in? But that's what I'm
No, she
that's
wasn't elected.
exactly.
She
That's
was
the point.
appointed.
That's the
Yeah,
point.
FYI, guys.
Right. And most of these people, yes, some of them are elected.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are not elected.
Yeah, well, you look at the World Economic Forum. Who
Right.
gives them the right on authority? You look at even for us the evil Bill
Mhm.
Gates. Who gives him
Yeah.
the right to?
Well,
As a
that's
matter
a
of
great
fact, I'm
question.
finding out now even some images.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Google
Yeah.
is allowing some images that if you and I would have posted this, they will consider them as a violation of the whatever they call that term.
Yeah.
But they're allowing those from because some entities inside Israel have hired individuals for YouTube stuff. I'm finding out all this. So,
well, maybe we can talk about that tomorrow on Rumble.
Yeah, but it really gets me into the idea of the double standard, the hypocrisy. So it's kind of, we saying, to take it back to geopolitical level, we're saying we stand for rule of law. No, well, where is the rule of law when you can apply it evenly, equally, justifiably?
Yeah.
You can't say one thing and do another. That's called lack of credibility. That's called hypocrisy.
Yeah.
The world doesn't operate that way. I remember, what's his name? The Marcus Aurelius. You remember him?
Marcus Aurelius,
the philosopher emperor. He was, he said, if it ain't true, don't say it.
Yeah.
And if it's not right, don't do it.
Yeah.
So straightforward. There is no if and but.
It's the hard right and the easy wrong.
Yeah. And that's at least for us as a former military. Yeah. That's the first thing we learn in the military.
Yeah.
The hard right and easy wrong. It is hard to do the right thing. It is easy to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Well, how come the institution that is teaching you that and the leaders end up doing the reverse of that?
Yeah.
This is why you're seeing people, who's going to go to the military now? Forget about it.
Oh, no. And
for what?
Yeah. And there are the recruitment numbers for the U.S. military
are
in the
abysmal.
They're abysmal. They're slightly better than they thought they were going to be, but it's still thousands and thousands less.
Nobody
than
will want it. They'll try to entice them with money, whatever. But this young generations,
I don't think there's enough money.
Well, that's a problem to begin with. We keep doing. I mean, to me, it was like, why will I allocate $106 billion in support of Israel? And well, wait a minute, I got an issue with it. I got nothing against Israel. I have Jewish friends.
Oh yeah,
wonderful people. But what will I send money for?
Well, and there is the argument that escalating the conflict is not good for either side. And I think that that's an important, because let's say Iran does get involved. Is that better? Is that better for Israel?
It's not.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I think that asking the question of, is escalation the right choice for either side here?
But at the same time, for the Arab world, which I believe they just talk, they are just talkers. If any Arabs here, no offense, I respect all of human being, but the leadership, they just talk.
So you don't think they're going to
they're just talkers.
Okay.
They can do squat.
Yeah.
You think about it. What happened to all these weapons they've been purchasing all those years?
No, that's a great
what
question.
the heck are you going to do with that? Keeping it in storage? For what?
Yeah.
For your great grandchildren? It doesn't make
obsolete,
sense.
obsolete
So what
technology.
Arabs do,
Yeah.
Arabs they use the Arab-Israeli conflict as justification to withdraw attention from the failure of domestic economic, social, education programs, whatever,
Yeah.
to divert the attention. This is why some Arab countries will allow demonstrations.
Yeah.
For the population to vent. But in reality, they give a hoot about the Palestinian Israeli conflict. I'm telling you from one who spent time in some Arab countries and years and years and years. They talk more than they act. Because a lot of people, even some Arabs now are asking the questions. What happened to those Gulf states that they're buying billions of weapons?
Yeah.
Where is it?
No, it's a great question.
Legitimate
That's
question.
a great
question. We can't just blame the US. We can't just blame the Israelis. We can't just blame whatever. We got to look also on the Arab side. Even inside Palestine right now.
Yeah.
Palestinians want Mahmoud Abbas, he's the head, to get out. Because he's not, enough talk, man.
Yeah.
Enough talk. It's in action. Watch what a man does, not what he says.
Not what he says. Absolutely.
Straightforward. Because, you hear the king of Jordan, the Egyptian president, nothing but hypes.
Yeah.
It's in action that matters. So that's, to me, it's sometimes you have to give, of course, don't get me wrong, you have to give a chance to peace.
You have to.
You have to. This is why, personally, I say the only way for this to be finalized once for all is two separate states. Where the question is going to be, which is going to be very delicate, is the border lines.
Yes.
Some say, yes, we'll be okay with the two-state solution as long as Israel goes back to the 1967 borders.
Yeah.
I don't see Israel doing that. Then it becomes the status of Jerusalem. It's a very, very complicated issue.
Very complicated.
But that's the only way to find a solution, permanent solution. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing these cycles over and over
again.
Israeli people have no problem with the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Palestinians have no problem with the Israeli people.
Yeah.
Is the damn government, not just there, everywhere.
Yeah.
We have it right here in our own country.
Yeah.
In our own country.
Absolutely.
So when you start to think about, have I ever thought we will be dealing with censorship? I never thought I would ever see that.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope. I have concerns about this show.
Oh, well, be it.
I'm interested to see what happens to this show.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun because we're just saying the truth.
Well,
I mean, what do you guys think?
Right.
No, I don't worry about it. I don't worry. So otherwise, I'm going to have to have a conversation.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway.
See. But I'm worried.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine. Let's see if there's any question from
all right. Yes, I know that there is.
And please, before we go into this, please hit that like button because we truly appreciate your support, and subscribe if you have not done so. We greatly appreciate it.
There is one. All right. Let me read it. Okay. Jalma. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly.
Yarma.
Yeah.
Yarma. Will Russia use this conflict to supply the enemies of U.S. with advanced weapons to get revenge the U.S. proxy war on Russia through Ukraine? No. You don't think in those terms that way. That does not mean Russia will not provide behind-the-scenes support. If you are talking about advanced weapons, no. Because it's easy to spot which country used that. It's like what the Russians finding out now in Ukraine.
Yeah.
They can spot where the weapon's coming from. So I don't see doing that. But I do see, if Iran gets involved, that Russia will support Iran.
Yeah.
That I do see happening, in addition to other groups in the Middle East. So, and Russia does understand this reality very, very, very well.
Okay. Suzanne Burrell, I like your show. Too bright and interesting personalities. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. I saw that was a nice comment. We really appreciate it. Okay, let me see. Guys, if you can put the word question in front of your question, it helps me find it. Oh, Harry. Let's see. Harry C. We thank you. I see you a lot. Under current democracy system, what the citizens do when the citizens do when all we know is that the politician and the media are liars and their amateurism policies are destroying our civilization?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question, and I don't claim to say
Mhm.
there is an easy answer to that. At least for us in our system here, the first thing that needs to be done is
Mhm.
you have to review the whole system from top to bottom. The
Agreed.
whole system needs
Agreed.
to be changed because what was written in the Constitution for back then, it's a different time. That's exactly what
Very
we
different.
argue in the course.
Yeah.
That's what we do in the course that the
Mhm.
government course we are offering here.
Yeah.
It's the same argument. It's kind of, you look what happened back then versus what is happening today. Yes, it's different time and different setting, but what you have today differs in content from what it was back then. So that
Absolutely.
means whatever policies you established back then, it's not going to work on this time because you have to change this according to that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
our system needs to be changed. I'll give always the example of
Mhm.
you put term limits on Congress.
Yeah.
You can't allow those people to be there for 30, 40. You look at Pelosi with over $100 million, Feinstein with over $100 million.
Oh yeah. Oh,
How
yeah.
did they acquire all that wealth
That's a great
on
question.
$180,000 salary?
Yeah.
I mean, that
They
just doesn't make sense.
didn't. They
Yeah,
just
it just doesn't make
absolutely
sense.
didn't.
But also because the system allowed that.
The system
They
allowed
stayed
it.
over there. Get rid of that, put a term limits on it,
Mhm.
and also have a referendum on issues.
Agreed.
For example, this involvement with us with Israel.
Yeah.
Why don't you give it to the people to decide
Right.
do we want to get involved or not?
Absolutely.
This is why we will never see a referendum in American system.
Yeah.
They won't allow. The government knows what the
Right.
outcome is.
Well, that's because they'll end up being held accountable.
Yes.
And that's my actual answer to this question is this. Support shows like this. We're not the only ones out here doing this.
Exactly.
Support shows like this. Cut all the distraction out of your life. And I'll say this, if you eat healthy, take care of yourself, because the stronger you are and the more you're willing to stand up and say,
Yeah.
okay, this is the information that I actually want. Support platforms like Rumble that are free speech platforms.
Indeed.
Put your time, effort, and energy into demanding what you actually want to hear and see.
Yeah.
Because the problem is the news media has the power that it has because people watch it. If you didn't watch it, if you didn't support fast food, for example, then they would change their business model.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't like the fact that there's censorship on YouTube, go to Rumble, be vocal about the fact that you don't like censorship. Support the places that are doing the things that you want, because even if you can't directly vote someone in, you can vote with your attention. You can
Yeah.
vote with going out and actually looking for doing your own research, figuring out what's going on way past what the legacy media or the government or whoever it is telling you. That's how you do it. And we've watched change happen that way. Because even a lot of the stories that were conspiracy or whatever, they came out as true because people didn't let them go.
Yeah.
People didn't let that story go, and so it came out as true because people stuck with it and wanted to find the truth.
Well, that's why we're doing in this show, guys.
Mm-hmm.
This platform here. So, because I'm gonna tell you this, and again, I don't brag, but I'll say it. You will not. You might. Let me take this back. You will not, because I feel comfortable enough saying that the content of what we provide. This is not talking about animals playing and so forth. We're talking about some heavy stuff. The knowledge we share with you, I'll tell you, there is a magazine out there. How many of you are familiar with Jane magazine? Do you know Jane magazine? No.
Oh man,
yeah,
I'm not.
Not a lot of people will know about
I'm not.
If you're not involved in geopolitics on a daily basis, you will know. Jane magazine, it does provide intelligence and strategic analysis from around the world, including the military one.
Yeah.
When I was in grad school, Jane magazine back then was $400 subscription.
Wow.
Back then.
Yeah.
So,
that's a lot.
This is why we're saying, guys. So what we provide you here is information you may not find anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yes, you could find something similar, but it will not be sort of provided in the right analysis according to expertise, according to years of being on the ground, according to academic background, according to I used to advise high-ranking officials inside the U.S. government, so you kind of were close to the source of power per se. And this, I bring this with me back to the table. 30 years of experience you got something to share
Yeah.
and so forth. And
Yeah.
this is why we are calling for your support, because without your support, we will go anywhere. That's what we wanted
Absolutely.
to share with you.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of support, maybe you can pronounce this
Oh, let me
name
see.
so that I don't butcher it.
Oh, Abdul Jagana. Thank you
you.
so much,
Speaking
Abdul.
of support, we
Oh my
very
gosh,
much
thank you so much.
appreciate
We truly
it.
appreciate it. Because without you guys,
Yeah.
there will be. I mean, literally, and I say it. I gave up a full-time teaching position
Mhm.
to be doing this. You know why? Because I believe in it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this. Full-time position. I could just be an average, professor. You go to work, you
Mhm.
teach, you collect paycheck. It's like, no,
Mhm.
no, because this, to me, I can't speak for Elizabeth, she can speak for herself. To me, I believe in it.
Yeah.
So when I put my heart and soul into this with the research, I don't talk on the top of my head.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm bringing over 30 years of experience, both in the tactical side and the academic side, theoretically speaking.
Yeah.
So you kind of, and I said to myself, no, this is what I want to do for whatever remaining for me on this earth till I check out. So hopefully I'll check out in peace. But here's the thing, because I always ask myself a question: what have I done for humanity?
Mhm.
So this, to me, what we're doing here, is what I can do as of today, given the resources.
Yeah.
Now, will I do something different if I happen to, let's say, be a millionaire or whatever? Yes, I will. But I am not.
Yeah.
And I'm content with where things are, because I say to myself, have I contributed something to another fellow human being? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter who, doesn't matter where. And then I say I find the answer is yes. The knowledge we're sharing with you. That's all we can do.
Well, there have been times in my life where I didn't necessarily have the courage to say something or
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
And then I watched somebody else do it, whether it was a YouTube video or
Yeah.
somebody that I followed on social media. And it gave me the courage to do something too.
Exactly.
And so, it's.
We're all sharing this earth here, and we're all going to
Yeah.
be passing by. And why not? To me, I always that concept: live and let live.
Absolutely.
That's
Well, and I think that the world is changing in that way, and it's changing slowly, but it's interesting watching people's response to this conflict.
yeah.
So I was at a conference last week, which is why we had fewer shows. So I was at this conference, and it was interesting. The speakers on stage, they're not related to geopolitics. They're related to business. There was very, very strict business people, and every single one of them, they were asked, this panel of like 10 people, and they were asked, what is your one wish? And I was expecting people to say, oh, I want a house in Italy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But every single person on that panel said, I wish for world peace.
Yeah.
I wish that the world would stop having wars and find peace. And to me, that was a surprise, because I didn't think that every single one of these people would say that.
Yeah.
And to me, it brought me a lot of hope that strangers out in the world, unprompted, because we were not talking about this. This was not the topic of this conference. And every single one of them said that. And so it brought me enormous hope for the world that people are actually changing.
I'm about to say something.
What?
Maybe we need to get to the source of it and get rid of it.
Well,
I'll let you reach your own conclusion.
Yes.
All right, we do one more question.
One more thank you, TNT. Thank you.
Oh, where's hey,
yeah,
TNT,
check it out.
showing my support. Thank you so much.
You.
I just talked about TNT yesterday on the other channel.
Yeah.
I didn't see TNT for a long time, and I was like, sometimes now you know the name, the screen names, and you wonder. I hope the person is all right or okay, whatever part of the world. So thank you so much, TNT. Truly appreciate it.
Okay. Let's see. There's one question that I really liked in here. Okay, how about this one? Last question. Amy with our money. Will Israel ever go in with troops? If so, will they stay?
No, because they're gonna get involved. What Israel is concerned about now is exactly what happened in southern Lebanon back in the 80s. That's why we didn't understand, and what we end up having. You weren't born, I don't think so.
I don't think I was born.
You know what happened? They blew up the US barracks in Beirut.
Oh, I do
Yeah.
know
So,
that.
well, you know
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Because we never understood the social fabric inside Lebanon with about 17 sects
Yeah.
that exist, from Sunnis to Shiites to Druze to Alawis to Maronites.
Yeah.
I do see the same thing. Israel understand this reality. They understand it more in southern Lebanon than they will do in Gaza.
Yeah.
But now things are different. If they go into Gaza, it's not going to be just the groups in Gaza or Hamas, whatever. You're going to see outside elements coming in. This is why I don't think so they're going to go and stay, because they know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
And Israel is not equipped to handle the guerrilla warfare. Even for us, look what we did, how we handled Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Because of guerrilla warfare, we are not trained for that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So that's why I don't see those heavy weapons going on, or even weapons. Yeah, they're gonna go with tanks, whatever. But the other side now have something to counter that.
Yeah.
The moment you see the first tank is blow up, Israelis will think twice.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it. So let's hope they don't go that, because it will only escalate. And we want a peace in that part of the world and around the world.
Around the world. Okay, one last super sticker, Rebbe Lee. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for your support. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, we truly appreciate it. Well, guys, remember to join us tomorrow for live stream. So we'll be looking
on Rumble. Yes,
on Rumble, live stream Rumble. All right. So they're all good. So, well, I hope you guys find this very informative, and we look forward to seeing you next time. As always, prepare yourself for changing world order. Till next time. Bye-bye.